Okay, here's my updated settings guide for Season 1 of Marvel Rivals. Today I'm going to be doing most of this guide in a new part of the practice area that wasn't in my last video because I didn't know about it when I made the video like a few days after the game was released, but of course I know about it now and this shouldn't be a secret. Most people know about this already, but if you go on down and to the right and down this chute here, there's actually a really good part of the practice area for training. So let's talk about settings. There's quite a few things that I've changed since my initial settings video, so I wanted to cover those off today. The first thing you'll notice immediately, you can probably see already, is that my crosshair has changed quite a lot. If you look here, I've got a yellow crosshair and it's on a 45-degree angle, and it's a little bit smaller than I've had in the past in my previous video as well. So previously in my last video, I had this pink crosshair, which looked a little something like this. My crosshair now is this yellow one. I've gone with a bright yellow color, which was actually thanks to a subscriber tip, thanks to Zach Barrett 8875, who recommended using a bright yellow color. And it makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of reds and purples and blues in the maps in Marvel Rivals. So yellow stands out quite well compared to other colors. And here's my color settings if you want to copy and follow along with what I've got as well. Now, importantly with the crosshair angle, I've gone with a 45-degree angle here, and let me show you why. So if I start shooting, you'll notice that the angle of the hit indicator that pops up is exactly the same as the angle of my crosshair. Watch this. See that? So the red hit indicator perfectly matches the angle of the crosshair. And the reason why that's so useful is it makes the UI a lot cleaner when you're actually playing. Look how clean that is. Now if I change to the previous crosshair that I had, which was something a little more like this, and that actually leads to a much messier view, and actually all of that extra information on the screen in front of your eyes with those vertical and horizontal crosshair indicators are getting in the way of seeing other things that you might want to see, like other characters behind the character that you're shooting. So I actually find I much prefer having this 45-degree angle crosshair where it perfectly matches the 45-degree angle hit indicator that the game has. So that's my crosshair settings. Now I want to talk about sensitivity. So I've changed my sensitivity quite a bit since the last video as well. I think in the last video I was on around 205 horizontal sensitivity, and that has gone down to 170, and my vertical has gone down significantly to 100. But before I explain the reason for that, it's probably good for me to show the type of sensitivity curve I've decided to use. So previously I was using a linear curve, and this means that all the way through the range of motion of your right joystick, you're getting pretty much the same or a linear ramp up of acceleration. I've actually changed that and I've gone to the dual zone S curve, and it's only a very slight change compared to linear. So only at the very beginning of my stick range and at the very end is it really any different from linear. So I've gone with these settings here, which I'll show the details right now. So you can actually look and see that this early section of the stick range is a little bit steeper of a curve than the later section. It sort of flattens out a little bit. That is a personal preference of mine. I actually prefer a slightly more sensitive middle section of the range because I like to make very small movements with my thumb, like this, you can see on screen, when I'm aiming. So let me show that in practice. Actually, let me show this by not touching my left joystick at all and only moving my right joystick to aim. So this isn't the way that I typically aim when playing, but just to show the kind of aiming that this setup gives you. Now I do actually have a stick extender on my right joystick here. So this is actually a Control Freak Galaxy stick extender, the shorter one. There is a longer one as well, which is an alternative option that you can put on, but I personally don't need that. I just like to use the shorter one myself. I'll have a link in the description where you can actually buy this as well if you want to use the exact setup that I have. So let's talk about the very last section of my sensitivity, the maximum range. So I've actually made that 90. That means that I can reach that maximum range a little bit quicker without actually having to push the stick all the way to the edges, because I don't typically like to go all the way to the edges unless I'm trying to do a quick jump turn, right? Like this, or a quick turnaround, a quick 180, just to see an enemy who might be behind me or something like that, or up in the air like an Iron Man. And for that, I have a special setting activated. So I have set up max dead zone sensitivity boost to 70. And that means that when I push my right stick all the way to the edge of the range, and it's touching the edge there, that I get an extra boost on turning speed. If I push it to about 90% of the way to the edge, it's about this speed. All right? But if I go all the way right and touch the edge, I get that extra boost in my turning speed. And that's really useful if there's someone behind you, you need to quickly turn around, or especially if you like to play melee characters, because you'll want to turn around all the time when you're right up in someone's face and they quickly jump behind you. You need to turn and continue attacking them. I have the horizontal max dead zone response time turned to 0 for that as well, which means it doesn't take any ramp up time, just goes straight into that as soon as my stick hits the edge of its range. Now let's talk about aim assist. So I talked about aim assist in my original settings video, and I've changed a couple of things slightly since then. One of the things that I suggested was to turn down the aim assist window size all the way to 1. And that was actually a little bit controversial. Some people commented that that is way too low. And I've seen a lot of other settings videos saying use something like around 15 for aim assist window size. Now, personally, I've tried that. I still don't really agree with it. I still like an aim assist window size of 1. And let me show you why. Now remember that what aim assist mostly does in this game is slows down your crosshair when you are over a character. So what I'm going to do to show that is, just for the sake of showing you aim assist, I'm going to turn this to linear. I'm going to turn aim assist strength all the way to 100, which is not how I typically have it. No ease in. Let me show you how this works. Now I've got a few lunar snows in front of me here. I'm going to start at just a very slow, simple speed, and watch how it slows down when my reticle passes over the lunar snows. Did you see that? I'm not doing anything. I'm just holding a consistent speed with my right joystick, and when the reticle goes near the lunar snows, it slows down slightly, and that makes it a little bit easier to aim, or less likely for you to overshoot your aim when you're quickly, hovering over a character and trying to hit their head. So aim assist is useful. It's not the best aim assist out there. It's nothing like some other shooter games. And a lot of people have complained about aim assist in my last video, and I absolutely agree with you that it's not a very good aim assist. But we've got to work with what we got, knowing that everybody has access to the same settings. You can actually make this work in your favor. So the aim assist window size of 1 looks something like this. So look at the position of where the aim assist starts kicking in. If I go to this lunar snow, it's roughly about here, okay? Roughly about here where it starts kicking in. If I have aim assist turned up any higher than 1, let's go to 15, for example, since some other YouTube videos have recommended 15. Look at where aim assist kicks in. There, okay? It's not much different, but it is significantly further away from lunar snow's head. Now, I'm gonna find that harder personally to aim when I've calibrated my sensitivity so perfectly, which I'll show you how to do at the end of this video. And see, I'm actually struggling to keep my crosshair on her head. It's much better for me personally, and I think for you as well, if you turn this all the way to 1, and then aim assist is still active, but it only kicks in really close to her head like this, okay? So it only kicks in if you slightly go out of her head area, and you need to quickly readjust. I actually find this much more preferable than a larger aim assist window size, and I think you will too. So I'm still recommending an aim assist window size of 1. Aim assist strength, I'm still turning down to 80 because I find it a little bit annoying to have an aim assist that's super strong, and a lot of other people have commented on my video and agreed with me as well that the aim assist is too strong at slowing you down in this game. It's not it's not that useful of an aim assist. It doesn't really give you any rotational aim assist. So it's not that useful to have it on 100%. You want to get it calibrated exactly for where it'll help you aim against a target. So I've had it set between 70 and 80 for quite some time now. Okay, now let's talk about aim assist ease in. So aim assist ease in is like providing a ramp up or ramp into the aim assist. So what it means is that when you hit that aim assist window of 1, which was somewhere around here, it doesn't kick in at full strength immediately. So it means that the closer to Lunar Snow's head you are, the more strong the aim assist is. And it means that if you're further away from Lunar Snow's head, it's less strong. And this is actually incredibly beneficial because it means that the closer you are to where you're trying to hit, the more strong aim assist is and the more it keeps you on target. So you really want to have some of this turned on. But you don't want it too strong because if you have a really high aim assist ease in, that might be somewhat useful for projectile heroes where you need to have a little bit more control and a little bit less aim assist. You need to lead your shots more, right? But you don't want it too strong for hit scan and melee heroes because it's just going to get in the way of the perfect aiming that you've dialed in. So I've got it set at 15 for hit scan and melee heroes and 30 for projectile heroes, so you can lead your shots a little more effectively. The final thing I want to talk about with aim assist is disable aim assist at max dead zone. I have that turned on. So everything else in the settings I'm pretty much keeping the same from my last video, and then I will give you a bonus tip with individual hero button mappings. So I've been playing a lot of Thor recently. That's been a lot of fun. Thor has an ability called Awakening Rune, and that is basically a really strong ability that lets you, and let me just change to Thor, that lets you basically do that and smash out a bunch of range attacks, which Thor typically doesn't do. Now, there's a slight problem with the default mapping. The default mapping for that ability, for me, is X on the Xbox controller, or it would be square on a PlayStation style controller. To reload on a normal shooter character, guess what I press? X. Right? That is kind of built into my brain as the button that I press when I need to reload from all the shooter games I've ever played. Now Thor doesn't need to reload at all, so what I do when I press X is I accidentally activate a strong ability that uses up my Thor hammers. So I don't want to do that because that could be a bad mistake to make in the middle of a fight if I panic and hit X and then I've used up my Thor hammers and I can't really activate more cooldowns. So I've changed the mapping for any character that has something like that where X is not reload to Y. That means I'm a bit more intentional about hitting that button and I'm like, oh yep, hit Y, activate the ability, and I'm not accidentally hitting it when I'm panicked trying to reload, even for a character that doesn't need to reload. Okay, now let's talk about the perfect sensitivity for you. So I talked about this a little bit in my last video, and if you've seen that one, you would have seen me show the banners area of the practice area. And you can definitely still use the banners area to try and start getting your sensitivity right. But I actually recommend now that I know about this area, to come down here and use this part of the practice area. So what you can do in here is you can set up some particular settings that will make it easy for you to calibrate your sensitivity. So what I would start with is something really easy. Start with a big old character like Magneto. So put Magnetos in there. You can generate them as fixed or random. Maybe we'll do random just to add some variety in there. Start with short range and then move to mid range. Leave them as static to begin with. Turn off your timers, turn off your music and hit apply. And one more thing you probably want to do is go to practice settings and turn on no ability cooldown so you're not worrying about reloading all the time. You can actually focus on your aim. All right, so let's start, and I'll show this with a couple of characters and I'll show you how to calibrate your sensitivity. I would start with whatever your current sensitivity is, or even the default sensitivity if you haven't done this before, and just work on horizontal first. First of all, you want to set your curves. So I set it back to my dual S curve that I like to use now. If you're still using linear, you can use linear, but turn it to whatever settings you're going to use. You don't want to be changing things like sensitivity and things in these other settings part of the menu at the same time, because there's too many factors going into changing your aim. So leave it completely set to where you think you're going to end up. You can always come back and change this later. All right, so start all the way, let's say on the left, and we're just going to go left to right. Missed that one, that's okay. So I'm doing pretty good here, right? I'm getting pretty close. So let me show you what it would look like if I had a way too low sensitivity, something like 130. So let's go. See that? And see where I just stopped there after my attempted flick shot? Way too short of the magneto. Okay, let's start over here. See, I'm trying. I promise you I'm trying to hit these guys, but I'm ending up way too short. So let's go further. I'll go up to say 200. Let's see what it looks like if it's a little too high. All right, see that? I'm overshooting too much. Now I can actually adjust to it, but my default is I'm sometimes undershooting, sometimes overshooting. So I'm a little bit all over the place, and that's a sign that it's too sensitive. So that's why I've kind of ended up somewhere between 170 and 180 for most heroes, depending on kind of the ranges that I'm shooting at. Now that's all fine, but really shooting fixed in place targets is not going to be that useful for testing your real world sensitivity. So let's make it a little bit more difficult. Okay, so I've just switched to a hit scan character just to not worry about sort of leading shots at this stage. And we've got some slowly moving magnetos. So let's see how my aim is. So what I'm doing here that's different from just the static exercise I was doing before is I can actually start tracking enemies here just with the right stick. So don't worry about the left stick too much at this stage, right? All right, so tracking, and you can try alternating. So we'll go this guy, missed this guy, this guy, this guy, missed this guy. All right, and keep trying to hit. And I'm not gonna get it right every time, but keep trying to hit a moving target. So this is a little bit more challenging. So this is like level 2. And then the next thing you wanna do is by moving your left stick as well. So of course, most people aim often by moving and strafing your body as well as your right stick. Stop talking so I can focus. Okay. Oh, that was tricky. Tricky magneto. There we go. Doing it with a hero that has, like the Punisher, that has a lot of bullets. You can just hold down the trigger. Is a good exercise as well. Okay, so you get the idea. You can try that and keep making micro adjustments to your sensitivity just to see if that makes any improvement on your sensitivity. So that's actually pretty good for me, 175 there. The other thing that I would do to test your vertical is put some flying heroes up there. My vertical sensitivity is actually only 100, and I find that that's actually plenty enough to quickly track flying targets like an Iron Man. Okay, so one final thing I'm going to show, just because people have asked for it, is my GameSir Nexus settings. And a lot of people asked me about this in the comments of my last video, so you know what, give the people what they want. I'm going to show you my settings here. I haven't really changed that much, but here's the settings in case you were interested. So that was pretty much it for the video today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Please do leave a like and subscribe if you like this content, because there is a lot more coming for Marvel Rivals. Also, if there's any particular videos you'd like me to make, please leave a comment below and I'll try and make a video on that topic as well. Thanks, guys.